The recent looting of food by Nigerians was a distressing event that highlighted the severe food insecurity and poverty faced by many individuals in the country. The looting incidents were driven by desperation, subsistence among those who are struggling to feed themselves and their families. It's crucial to address the underlying issue of poverty and food insecurity to prevent such desperate actions in the future. Welcome to Inside Today. I am Jumai Manson. I'm being joined by Commodore Sahaluddin A. Lukman. He is the spokesman, Nigerian Citizen Action Group, NCAG. Don't go anywhere. The program continues shortly. You're welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, this is Inside Today on Global Television. And like I said, I am being joined by Commodore Sahaluddin A. Lukman. He is the spokesman, Nigerian Citizen Action Group, NCAG. Good afternoon, Mr. Lukman. How are you doing today?
Good afternoon. I'm doing fine. How are you too? I'm happy
to
join you.
Thank you for honoring the invitation. I know you have a very busy schedule today. Thank you so much for honoring the invitation. I am truly grateful.
You're welcome, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Lukman, let's talk about the looting. What's your take when it comes to the recent looting incident in Nigeria by Nigerian citizens due to hunger? You know, we've heard from Abuja, it took place, and then the truck, one of the trucks that were carrying food that was supposed to be meant, it was meant for the vulnerables, was looted by some Nigerians, one in Oshun, one in Suleja. All of these looting spree that is ongoing. What's your take by all of this due to hunger?
Thank you very much. Once again, my name is Comrade Sahaluddin Lukman. I'm the spokesperson of the Nigerian Citizen Action Group. It's quite unfortunate, the situation we find ourselves in this country at this present time. Although it is normal and it is natural, whatever that is going to be good, the road to success are always rough and tough. But one must be determined. There is no pain without a gain. Nonetheless, the hunger in the land is so obvious. The frustration in the faces of the citizens are too enormous. So it becomes difficult to actually blame citizens for the action they are taking in the recent time. In as much as not civil enough, nobody will support any form of hijack of food materials or palliative. But nonetheless, I must tell you, human being can bear anything. But when it comes to hunger, it's one of the unbearable factors the human being can live with. It is easy not to wear a new cloth. It is easy not to wear a new shoe. It's even easy to live in a dilapidated apartment. It is easy to eat something that is not good enough, but not having anything to eat at all. It is an extreme poverty. So I want to believe that the situation actually prompted people to most of this action is a frustrative action that nobody, as in Nigeria is a dignified citizens of Africa. One of those things we would not like to do is to beg to eat. Only few people comfortable begging to eat. They rather go into a menial job, dirty job to feed themselves and their families. But it is when it becomes impossible to get all to eat for themselves and for their families, people tend to go extra mile by hijacking food. So it's just unfortunate. You can't completely shift the blame on the citizens. Rather, we have to shift blame to the policy makers, people within the circle of power. We can see the effort of the federal government, but there are people intermediary between the government and the people that are actually frustrating the effort of the government. These are the people we need to address. And these are the people the government itself needs to address properly. Because if that is not properly done, there is no end to this inside. People must eat.
But I
and they
want to
cannot
ask you
get the
something,
food.
Mr. Lukman. Sorry to interject. When you said frustrating the efforts of the government, but looking at it critically now, what has the government actually done to douse the tension when it comes to economic hardship, when it comes to hunger in the land, when it comes to, let's talk about the fuel subsidy, which is the root cause of all of these issues in which we're facing at the moment. If there was no removal of fuel subsidy, I'm sure the amount of food items in the market would be minimal when it comes to the skyrocketing of what we see now. So when you say some group of individuals, what individuals are you referring to, Mr. Lukman?
Thank you very much. Like I said, we are citizens of this country. And as an activist, we are very conscious of happenings within and outside the government. You will recall, immediately the subsidy was removed, there was a lot of program the government proposed to ameliorate the sufferings of Nigerians. One of these salary bonus or wages bonus that the federal government proposed that every state government should please, as a matter of urgency, pending when the new minimum wage will be decided, all the governors should please be paying wages allowance. You recall, at the
Yes.
federal level, it was announced to be 30,000 or so for the staffs. Equally, the federal government also go further by saying we should introduce CNG engine in place of PMS because CNG is relatively cheaper to avoid. And they have put in place a presidential initiative headed by the Federal Revenue Chairperson as a committee to see to the transition of Nigerian automobiles from PMS to CNG engine. Likewise, they have equally commissioned the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian and Disaster Management to upgrade the social register so that vulnerable household can be any, I think it's 25 or 30,000 for 6
25,000
months.
naira.
25,000 naira for 6 months, you understand? And equally, you see the government also went ahead by commencing discussion with the labor union that they want to ensure that the new minimum wages come in place. The committee has sat like 2-3 times. The federal government also went ahead to release from National Reserve grains through the National Assembly members that it should be distributed to constituent members at the federal constituencies and senatorial districts across the nation. These are effort government have put at the top. But let me ask you as a citizen, how many National Assembly members have fully distributed what was given to them? At a point, there was argument, I've not received. It's supposed to come from Ministry of Agric. I've not gotten. Some people say they have gotten. It is not the prerogative of Mr. President again to go and follow up on most of the implementation of these policies. If truly our lawmakers, our representatives in the government, are genuinely concerned about our well-being as
All
a
right, Mr.
citizen.
Lukman, I want to interject again. Apologies, but I just have to interject. When you said it's not the priority of Mr. President, let us go back to the presidential speech where the president said they will be monitoring committees in order to monitor all of these channels that he's putting in place. Don't you think it is the priority, or will I say the prerogative of the president to ensure these monitoring committees are working? Because now, for what individuals are seeing, is just word of mouth and no action. When you talk about the monies that many household Nigerians will tell you for free that the 25,000 naira for vulnerable households, majority of individuals have not received those monies. And number two, when you talk about the increment before the minimum wage, we've lost how many governors has put it into place? We can count. For what I know, for the governors that we have, maybe just 2. So what are we saying now? Do you think it's the part of the lackadaisical attitude of the government to ensure these particular actions are modified and put in place? Don't you think so, Mr. Lukman?
And like I told you, it's just like the system of government we operate in Nigeria. We place much emphasis and priority on federal government. And we equally remember the fact that the way we elected the federal government was the way we elected the state government. We expected our leaders at the state level to understand the fact that the burden of making life bearable, comfortable for Nigerians are not sole responsibility of the federal government. These are federation units. And whenever a policy that seems to bring succor to the citizens are being introduced, So far, there's resources at everybody's disposal at their respective governance level. If they don't supposed to be monitored, if they are genuinely concerned about the well-being of Nigerians they are governing. If Mr. President have introduced a policy and is seek for collaboration and cooperation of the state government, when they equally have the same resources at their disposal to execute most of this, it is less expected that the government should be the one monitoring the state government. It's uncalled for. This is government to government. We expected a proactive measure, like the ministry you mentioned. I agree with you totally. For those that are still within the purview of the federal government for full implementation, there should be a task force to monitoring compliance, because most of this problem we have is that, like the register, I can tell you for free, it was hijacked. It is not completely the vulnerable people that made themselves, they have made their way to that list. It was at the point hijacked by the politicians who now brought in their loyalists, even people who does not actually need the money, but because they want to make political impression out of it, they have to hijack it and corner it to their side, giving some people who does not deserve it, now making it as if it does not hit the target expected for this money to have taken effect. Look at the state governors. They introduce, what is it called? 3 days, working days per week, just to reduce the cost of transportation of workers.
True.
No, most of this, left for me, for those that are concerned with the government, with the federal government, like the social register, vulnerable Nigerians, yes, government need to put in place a monitoring team or task force to ensure that they are judiciously implemented, so the target beneficiary will get it. It will reduce the burden on the citizens and the pressure on the government, because if this program and the policy introduced by the government is not properly managed, definitely the looting of palliative will continue. Citizens must eat. It's
Yeah,
like
of
you are pushing
course.
them to where to go again, they have to turn back.
Of course, the
So
citizens
I agree
must
with you.
eat.
Like for me, we don't need to preach sincerity of purpose to our leaders, both at the National Assembly, State Assembly, and the government houses across the Confederation. They should understand that it is not the priority, it's not the sole responsibility of the federal government alone to make life bearable for Nigerians. The way we voted the president is the way we voted Mr. Governors. They should know that our comfort, as it is concerned the president, so as it concerns the governors. Any program that is being introduced, so far the resources in their pocket, this is the money, it's not their personal funds. These are money contributed by me and you and our parents, our friends, our family through tax. They should learn to use this money for the good of the Nigerian people. It is very bad for us as a nation that the report in the media, people are looting food materials. Is the peak of poverty, is the peak of definition of poverty for a nation. That we can no longer, we are not talking of survival index, we are talking of just basic survival line, not in any wealth creation. We are not talking of exploitation or exposition in
Or entrepreneurship
science and
program.
technology. We are talking of ordinary what to eat. It shows that we are in a deep mess of poverty. And it's not good for our nation. A nation where we are expecting people to come and invest. Mr. President has been traveling around the world to woo investors. Do you think an investor who will be comfortable to bring his investment to a nation where they are hungry?
Of course not.
And you can easily lose their food. So the state government should complement the effort of the federal by ensuring most of these policies, those that concern them ultimately, are judiciously utilized. And for the ministry, let the government also understand this fact. The federal government must know when you make a pronouncement, it's also important you take an action to ensure that you follow it up. Like the CNGs now, I expected the government to have commenced transition of most of their petrol vehicles to the CNG. Charity must begin from home. If you are introducing Nigerian to CNG and you are still running on petrol, does it make a sense? You have actually mentioned it before. The time to which the subsidy was removed, there was no adequate plan. And it's like the government does not plan it very well. They were just pushing us to this era. That's why we're having this hardship. If at all, our refineries will not be working optimally, they should also legalize modular refineries to ease the refining of petroleum products in the country. Until we stop importation of petrol, there is nothing reasonably can be done in terms of fuel cost reduction. And we must also commend the government. You know, one of the reasons why there is food scarcity and hike in the foodstuff is this our instability in forex. And we wonder the CBN are pulling recently. We hope they sustain it. And if it is sustained, the dollar crash below 1,000, I think there will be a sugar again. So let government do whatever they need to do to stabilize the forest. And also, like they have started, they are supporting the agricultural programs through the Federal Ministry of Agri so that we can have adequate food production for this rainy season that we are entering. Those are the things the government need to intensify effort. And it should not be just mere a word without an action. Every pronouncement of government must be followed. Sorry. Every pronouncement of government must be followed with a very, very concise action that will push and prove that government actually mean what they are saying. So I believe if these three things are holistically taken care of, I mean, one, let there be monitoring on those programs that aim at alleviating poverty and reduce hunger introduced by federal government. Let there be monitoring and task force to monitor the implementation of them. Secondly, our officials at the National Assembly, state authorities should also show concern, show responsibility and take responsibility. They should be responsible for once, for everything that has to do with them in terms of ameliorating the poverty line now. They need to work on it. Then thirdly, government intervention program to support farm, agricultural production and conversion of transition of automobiles in this country from petroleum, from petrol, PMS, that's premium motor spirit, to CNG, that's compressed natural gas. Government should intensify effort. Let this thing materialize on time. When it's materialized, definitely it will reduce the burden.
We're going to still talk more on that. Now, I want to ask you, what's your take on the Presidential Economic Coordination Council? Do you think it's going to bring succor to the land? It's going to bring succor to Nigerians as a whole?
No, come again, please.
I said, what is your take on the Presidential Economic Coordinating Council? Of course, you know the council that the president set up to bring succor when it comes to the high cost of living by our elites that we have, private sectors, House of Assembly members, our President Ahmed Bola Tinubu as the chairman, the deputy president is also on that particular committee. What's your take on this? Do you have hope? Do you believe in that particular agenda that the president that has been set up by the president to bring succor and, of course, relief to Nigerians?
And so, like I rightly mentioned, is this good? You know, when you take an action, than when you don't take an action, everyone will not help a man who does not act. Like I told you, it seems there is no synergy between the federal government, let me say from the presidency, the National Assembly, and the state government. That is why we are having this issue prolonged. With that kind of committee they put in place, comprising people from the private sectors, the people from the presidency, the National Assembly, the state governors, and the other important personalities within the country. I hope that will give a close working relationship and planning to actually ameliorate this suffering of Nigerians. Because it does not make a sense when a policy is pronounced at the top, at the middle is not implemented, or at the bottom it does not exist. So this kind of committee coming together, at least when they are to meet as a committee, a representative of the governor is there. He will remember what's supposed to be the role of the governors in this effort. The private sectors are there. If he's in the meeting, in that committee meeting, the presidency will be able to remind him the role of your sector in ameliorating people's suffering. So the committee will actually bring people closer together, the critical stakeholders in this effort together, and I'm optimistic it will make an impact, because most of the policy government have introduced, they are so beautiful, they are so impactful in view, but implementation has been a major problem. Exactly. So with this committee put together, I'm optimistic. When they are together, working together, discussing together, solidarity together, planning together, that may make it more easier and faster in implementation. So to say, in conclusion, I have the opinion Mr. President has taken a good decision by putting up that committee, which will help us to actually get to where we are heading to as far as economic recovery is concerned in the post-subsidy era.
Oh, talking about the subsidy era. Now, with this looting, of course, we know there's going to be a lot of lapses and a lot of issues. Now, what do you think are the impacts on the affected communities that the food items were meant for distribution to the masses? What impact, what breach will it cause in that particular community? Of course, it's for the vulnerable. So I'm sure that there's going to be affected communities when it comes to foods that were looted by some hungry Nigerians.
And like I mentioned, most of the food they have reported to have been looted, is two things are involved. It's either those food material are ordered to ensure that the price inflated before they sell them, so which is a bad market for the whosoever that have done that mess. Because ideally, you are not expected to store food material. Like in Niger State, they have banned the use of a truck to acquire much foodstuff because
yams.
It was stubborn. Nigerians are the problem of Nigerians, because some people are taking advantage of every situation in the country to make money. I don't know how comfortable they are. You are making money at the detriment of people's suffering. It's not ideal. This is a nation we're supposed to be. Our humanity should be ahead of our personal profit. So, like those communities where those things has happened, government should not blacklist them, or the authorities should not blacklist them. Nobody, like I said, an average Nigerian will never want to identify with begging. It is when they were pushed to war. It's not dignified to loot a food. It's not. Nobody can be proud of it. You can't see anybody who involved in that action to come forward. Yes, I looted. It's a thing of shame. It's because they have no choice. So government should rather intensify effort to ensure that they introduce more succor to such community, because such community, it means they are in their hunger. That is why they have to drop all their dignity, all their pride, and go for looting of foodstuff. A common foodstuff. We are not talking of cloth, we are not talking of shoe, we are not talking of vehicle. Foodstuff, basic foodstuff like rice, grains, spaghetti, indomie, they are cheap things that an ordinary person will even have go and loot. So nobody should blacklist such community or such group of people. They should rather intensify effort on bringing succor to those communities, so that, because we should thank God they are looting ordinary food. By the time they do see food to loot again, and they must survive, they will go into another devilish things. There's some criminal things, because they need to survive. That is when you prompted the burgling of shops, burgling of houses, attack of women being on the street taking their phones, because these are the things that will later result to cheap crimes. You understand? And if it is not taken from there, it will aggravate a bigger crime. What brought about the idea of kidnapping on the highway? Before now, our problem in this country is armed robbery. They will come to the house, either break your door when you are not around. They will come with gun during the day, attack, scare you with gun, take your properties, take your money and phone, and run away. But these days, have you seen the rate of armed robbery attack in residence any longer? No. What you see now is that they come to the house and pick somebody, ask you to go and look for ransom. Or they go to the highway, stop you on the way, take you away from your car, ask your family to go and look for ransom. So it is level. Government must address this matter before it aggravates. We are dealing with terrorists, bandits already. We should not allow these petty palliative looters to now become a chronic criminals that will also debit another crime. So government must put more action, more rescue action to those communities that are involved in palliative looting. It means they are truly and terribly hungry. And an hungry man is an angry person.
Of course. Now, what do you think are the potential solutions to address the root issues contributing to such desperate actions?
To be candid with you, palliative is not even sustainable. As I was telling you, government cannot be feeding people every day.
Very true.
The sustainable remedy is, to me, is two. One, any effort that will make us depart from the use of PMS as major source of transportation, until that is addressed. And to address that, our refineries must work. Modular refineries must be introduced. Not until you go to gigantic refineries that we are having, either the Kaduna or the Dangote or the other one in Port Harcourt. No, government should license more modular refineries, so that there can be a small-scale refining of petrol products within the country, firstly. Secondly, the Presidential Committee on CNG they should expedite action to ensure that if government is going to roll out a program to all the commercial transport to bring their vehicles for conversion, where they will be paying instrumentally as they start using the engine, because to convert a vehicle is about 500,000 to CNG. Government should make available resources for commercial vehicles to come and convert their petrol engine vehicles to CNG, so that they can depart from buying fuel at 700 plus or 600 plus. If they are buying CNG gas at 250, 300, the cost of transportation of goods and services will drop.
Definitely.
And they may not have the 500,000 to pay at Uj to convert their vehicles. But if government provide a soft loan for them, whereby they'll be paying back gradually, or they can even give them a kind of subvention or a grant. Okay, if you're having a vehicle, bring it, government will pay 300 for you, you will pay 200 by yourself, so you can have your vehicle converted to CNG. Then you can now be running your business. Definitely, if you are running a CNG vehicle, your costs, your charges will be lesser. That's another thing. Then thirdly, food security. Government has commenced already. Let them intensify efforts by supporting farmers and every young people interested in agriculture to go fully mechanized farming in this new season we are coming to. If these two are done, me, I can tell you, government will not need to come and dash us rice or dash us beans before we eat. Because once the cost of transportation is reduced, the cost of living will drastically reduce. You understand? There's food security. When the agricultural are booming, people have money, they have money to acquire implants, they have money to acquire machineries, they have machinery to rent in case where they are not going to acquire. So if all these things are in place, they are the best thing that will bring permanent solution to this economic action. But until we depart completely from the use of PMS, my sister, I'm telling you, there is no hope in sight. Government cannot be giving us for the palliative every day. But we must do something that will naturally bring the cost of transportation down. Because transportation is one of those things that whenever it's affected, virtually everything about our livelihood is affected.
Very true.
You understand?
Very true.
If I forget, there's one of these our petroleum major marketers. They are fully migrate to all their filling station now. You can see CNG there. You understand? I forgot the NIPCO. NIPCO now, every NIPCO filling station you can get CNG gas. So let government encourage more major marketers in the oil sector to also dive into this business, so that if the gas is available everywhere, people can easily move into CNG era. You know, whenever it's getting low, you can branch any filling station and refill your tank and move on. This is the thing government can do to help this situation now. Anything short of these two, we are just pushing the evil day. You give palliative today, the other 1 week is finished. Are you going to give them another one in a week's time? No. So if this is done, and the minimum wage as they are working on it is reviewed, people will have more money in their pockets to buy more things, and the price will drastically drop. The only thing we need to introduce further in this country is price control. There is no price control in this country, and government must look at that. People are taking advantage of their fellow citizens, which is uncalled for. It's unjustifiable. Let there be a policy in this country that will mandate every producer to put a retail price on their products, and no citizen should buy more than the price on the material. That is how to control this. How can I be buying spaghetti, Indomie, 7,000 naira a year? I'll go to another place to say it's 6,500. It's uncalled for. Let the producer have their regional considerations and fixed price. It should be tagged on the production nylon. So if you are buying Indomie here in Kaduna, for instance, if in the northern region, the way they put petroleum price now, in the northern region we have a fixed price. In the southern region there's a price. In Abuja there's a price. Let all the manufacturers also adopt this strategy in the price control regulatory system. In the north, this is how much you can buy this material. In the south, this is how much you can buy it because of the production distance. You understand? But the idea that a retailer is the one fixing the price is uncalled for. Some people are naturally wicked, and they are the one pushing the citizens to the wall. And at the end of everything, we're going to blame the government on it. So let all this process be in place. Price regulatory body, price control is very important at this material time in this country. The government must work on it, and they must let it be delivered within the short period of time if we must actually address our hunger crisis. And the agricultural support, very cogent. Likewise, modular refinery and CNG transition, very, very essential. These are the four identifying solutions to me that I think will help the situation of this country.
You know what, Mr. Lukman, I'm glad that you have stated out ways in which we can prevent, this is ways we can prevent future incidents like the recent looting due to the hunger in Nigeria for reoccurring. Now, we know that it is crucial to address the root causes of poverty and food insecurity in the country because it keeps reoccurring. From the FCT Abuja, we heard about what happened in the Nima office, and then all the way to Suleja and then Ondo State. It keeps reoccurring. Even when measures are being put in place, it keeps reoccurring. And I'm not saying, I'm not a prophet of doom, but the truth is, I will not be surprised if we hear more loots happening in other states. Now, how can we stop this food insecurity issue when it comes to poverty from reoccurring when it comes to looting of trucks, carrying food to a particular state, or palliatives in warehouses that Nigerians go in, despite the security in check, bypassing security and going into loot warehouses, trucks, palliatives that are meant for the vulnerable? How do we curtail this particular act of looting that keeps reoccurring and keep surfacing?
Like I mentioned, we must drop favorism in every engagement of government. We must drop favorism in every engagement of government. And every individual in position of authority must be sincere. They must change their orientation. This is time for governance. It is not time for politics, where you be selective of people to benefit of federal government interventions. If you are given palliative, irrespective of the party you belong to, it is constituent. It's not going to be your AP, your party members' own alone. These are the cause of frustration. Like the palliative you mentioned that people are noting. It was discovered in some states. APC senators take their palliative to only APC members. PDP senators took their palliative to only PDP members.
Very
so
true.
Are other people not citizens? So those other ones that you deprive, they were the one that possibly connive and plan out to loot the remaining ones. Let government program have the citizen face, not political face. We are no longer in politics. We are now in governance. You understand? And let me tell you, it is obviously not, if you look at the population of people that voted, the last election we had, compared to the Nigerian population and the INEC registered voters, does it commensurate? Do you up to 50%?
No.
It tells you that it is not every citizens that participated in voting, but governance affects everybody. All our political office holders should learn this beautiful fact. This is not era of politics. It is era of governance. Treat everybody as one, irrespective of the political affiliation, gender, or tribe. That is one. Secondly, the idea of palliative is not sustainable. We keep telling the government, the reasonable palliative they can give Nigerians now is that how can we get 75% of our vehicles in this country runs on CNG? Those are the palliative government can give that are reasonably sustainable. Because if somebody car that require 500,000 to convert to CNG, petrol is sold for 670 naira per liter. CNG is sold for less than 300 naira per liter. If government give a grant to all the commercial transport in Abuja, for instance, okay, it costs 500,000. We have identified some centers that are doing conversion. Take your vehicle to some place, government will pay 50%, you pay 50%. Get your vehicle runs on CNG. In Abuja now, all the NIPCO filling stations are having CNG. It means in Abuja we have solved the problem. Transportation costs in Abuja will reduce. And government will start by themselves. All their vehicles that are running on petrol should be converted first. So citizens can see truly that government is leading by action. Not that you are still running on petrol. You want citizens to go and run on CNG. Even for the ozone layers, look at the way the heat has been terrible across the country in the recent time. Which will tell us that our atmosphere is enormously charged. So we need to also consider beyond the economic impact of it, the environmental conservation and sustenance of human being is essential. We prompt government to ensure that they take a proactive action and sincere move that they truly want Nigerians to move from petrol to CNG gas. Then the last part of it that are sustainable, our farmers, they need to be properly supported. There should be need for government to ensure that virtually all farms are mechanized this time around. If you have been cultivating 2 hectares of land before, government should encourage you, give you capacity building support to cultivate 6-7 acres of whatever crops you deal with across board. So this is how the food security will. So the rain will be starting soon. So we know that we are going to the rainy season. There is mass mobilization of citizens to farm. You understand? When a good number of people make the farming enticing, even the young graduates that are looking for job will drop it and go, let me go and do farming. I can make money. Because if government involved, as you plant, you are just to manage. There's off-taker already at the harvest point. So you always just to cash your money. Everybody, let me go and get 2 acres of land. If you get 2 acres of land, government will cultivate for you. They will give you plants, seed. When you harvest, you pay back their money and you get your profit. Everybody will move in. This is how to mobilize and entice people to go into farming. You understand? So that if got all our national reserve, we have almost emptied them in the recent time because government has not declaring. We lose also number metric tons from palliative. They go and get. Are we not going to replenish them? So these are things government need to do. These are the feasible and sustainable palliative you can give citizens at this era. Anything short of this is just political. So like I mentioned, our National Assembly, they said they don't want to be sent to us again. We may need to face the government now. Federal government should not send the National Assembly member to us again. Maybe we should send our local government chairman.
I think it's
they
better.
Should send our local government. We can see them. We know their houses. They are living in our neighborhood.
They're close, of course. Of course. All right, Mr. Lukman, let's quickly go on a very quick and short break at the same time. And then, please, you will rejoin us via Zoom. Thank you for being a part of the program. Just please join up again. Insight Today continues shortly. Don't go anywhere. You're welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, this is Insight Today on Global Television, and we're looking at a very sensitive issue that has to do with economic hardship and how hunger has fueled foodstuff looting. And I am not alone. I am being joined by Commodore Sahaluddin A. Lukman, and he is a spokesman, Nigerian Citizen Action Group, NCAG. Mr. Lukman, thank you for being a part of the program.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
Now, you mentioned about our local government chairman. We prefer our local government chairman to be the spokesperson for us, the masses, compared to individuals in the House of Reps members who do not live close to us. They live in Abuja. They don't live close to the local government areas. Why is that so?
I must tell you the truth. The recent experience about the palliative controversy has further shows that our legislators, so to say, they are permanently political. They don't seem to be human. Because I wonder why they will give you a palliative to give your constituents. You decided to give only your party members. Are they the only citizens in the country? Does Mr. President said you should give it to only your party member? No, because when they are disbursing money from the federal allocation, it does not read the color of party. It says states. people make up states. And looking at the fact that all of them are in Abuja, citizens are in respective areas. They are in respective locations, so they cannot even access them to challenge them. Where's our rights? But if we use the local government chairman and the councillors lives in the neighborhood. The chairman live within the local government. Citizens can easily barricade their houses and ask for their palliative. Where is the food Mr. President said you should give us? That will make them to be prompt in sharing it judiciously and effectively. Instead of giving to Abuja people, you have to travel to Abuja before you see the rep member. You have to be on appointment before they allow you to National Assembly. So to challenge them, you have to wait another 4 years when they are looking for another vote. Who lose? Citizens lose. So let us change the approach.
Oh, all right, let's look at the means of implementing effective social welfare programs. Improving access to education, job opportunity, and enhancing what we're talking about now, food security. How well do you think has the government done that with all of these social welfare programs when alleviating poverty, entrepreneurship programs, like the one that is ongoing now that has to do with the student loan? How well do you think these particular social welfare programs are effective to Nigerians?
Thank you very much. I know the government have started well by introducing a student loan that will drastically address a lot of challenges from the citizens.
Right, Mr. Lukman, are you being distracted? Mr. Lukman? All right, I guess Mr. Lukman is busy with some very important issues there. Mr. Lukman, were you distracted?
Yes, and what I was trying to say, I think you can hear me, right?
Yes, I can.
You can hear me? Yeah, okay. See, like I mentioned, I'm sorry, I'm a bit engaged.
Yes, I completely understand. It's okay.
The government have actually started well by introducing a student loan scheme that will address a lot of issues as regards the access to education in the country. What parents need to do now is to struggle and train their children up to secondary school level. They can now access the federal government loan for their tertiary education. If that is done, it means the burden of going to tertiary institutions is now on the government. That's one. Secondly, it will enable the government to monitor the retirement and recruitment process in public service, because with the student loan in place, graduates are to pay back the government after 2 years of graduation. That is when they are engaged, when they started having work. So government that have lent you money must also see to the fact that you get a job. So government must now monitor retirement and recruitment process in ministry, departments, and agencies. That's secondly. Thirdly, the issue of social investment scheme. Like now, they have created a special agency to actually manage and monitor the social investment scheme away from the usual ministry arrangement. Now, that agency will decisively monitor, manage, and supervise social investment scheme in such a way that the target beneficiaries will be the one to get these interventions. So if this is done, government has also rolled out a special loan for manufacturers, running to billions. If this loan are made available for manufacturers, it means most of the moribund companies, industries will be revived. Once they are revived, Nigeria will be producing, and that will create job employment. It also stabilizes our forex, because instead of us importing virtually everything we consume, we have some of them that we are now being produced in our country. Then it will create employment for people, because to the way of creating employment is by empowering the manufacturing sector. If the manufacturing sector is up and doing, look at the textiles in Kaduna and Kano. Government must look into it and revive it. There is an effort to revive Ajaokuta. If Ajaokuta is revived, a lot of industry will spring up in the country, including the Ajaokuta itself. It will create a lot of employment. Like we mentioned, the agriculture is one of the largest employer of labor. If government also drastically invest in the agricultural sector, it will take good number of people off the unemployment radar and it will create a sustainable wealth in the country. So these are the effort government must intensify. The one they have started, they must continue. The one they have not, they must also make sure that a proper action is taken. And ultimately, there should be a warning signal to every government agency and department that are in charge of social register. Social register has a purpose. It is not political. Just like the Empower, it should not be political. Every citizens who are genuinely qualified should not be deprived on the altar of political affiliation, gender, or tribal affiliation. It should be holistically implemented because these are the cause of the problem in the country. Palliative are not for a party members, it is for citizens. The social register and social intervention program of the government are not for party loyalists. They are for citizens, and they should allow it to run the way it was designed so that the impact can quickly be felt by all the citizens, and the government too can have their rest and strategize on other things that will make the country better.
All right, let's look at measures that can help alleviate the conditions that led to such desperate actions. And do you think promoting transparency, good governance, and accountability contribute to building a more equitable and stable society where people are less likely to resort to looting out of necessity?
Of course, yes. Transparency, accountability what are the hallmark of good governance. When the leaders are accountable and transparent, citizens they earn more trust and confidence of the citizen. Like let's take the instance of the palliative we mentioned. If it is a situation whereby the citizen have a trust in the leaders, and the leader has been so transparent and accountable in the recent past, nobody will have any guts to go and loot a palliative because they believe that truly, if it is palliative and it's being sent to us by the government, our representative will bring it to us. But in an event where you have an instance in the past where a federal government palliative were later customized to bear a politician's name, somebody they're supposed to have distributed since December, they kept it until the Ramadan period. They are using it as per Ramadan palliative from themselves. What they're supposed to have done on their own. So these are the bad experiences of the citizens that have breached the trust, that send a signal of no confidence in the leaders. Every citizens assume that the leaders are selfish because they are not accountable, they are not transparent. So if the government can proactively promote transparency and accountability, it will earn the citizens' confidence and trust. When they say don't cheat, nobody will cheat. You look at the COVID-19, when they say COVID-19 is killing, they ask us not to shake hands. Do we see anybody shaking hands? Until we discover that it's like this thing is not killing us. People are just trying to kill us. They don't want us to eat. People they now started deferring the directive. But when there is trust, surely citizens will abide by the rules and regulations. They will even dare it to loot because what is meant for us, like, it's coming to us. Why do we need to loot? But people are afraid. They don't give us now. Maybe they will go and sell it, or they will keep it until election period. They come and share it for us to as vote buying strategy. You understand? So those are the things.
All right, Mr. Lukman, quickly now, because of our time, I want to ask you a question 2 in 1, and I need you to please answer in 3 seconds, if possible. Now, do you think we need more social welfare programs to help alleviate poverty and hunger in Nigeria? And also, do you think government is not prioritizing funding programs to alleviate poverty and hunger?
To be candid with you, I've mentioned it. We don't need more social intervention program. Social intervention programs are not sustainable. They cannot be giving us palliative every day. What are the social interventions they have been palliative? Is it sustainable? The answer that I've gotten the last month, I've not gotten this month. No. We need a system reorientation, a restructuring of the system that will make Nigerian work for all of us. Make life bearable for all of us. Like I mentioned the other time, those are the restructuring system that will make life naturally affordable and easy for every citizen. We don't need more social interventions. Rather, government should channel our resources to sustainable development Like the roads, if roads are good, we don't need to visit mechanic every time. You understand?
All
Those are
right.
the infrastructure we need to intensify effort on, not social interventions. Let the country, let there be a working economy that is capable of producing wealth creators, not this palliative economy. We can't sustain palliative economy. If the intervention government is giving through the banks to manufacturers is sustained, industry will pop up.
All
You
right.
understand?
Thank you
If are
so
not
much,
these are the risks.
Commodore Sahaluddin A. Lukman. Thank you for being a part of Insight today. And from your words, we do not need a palliative economy. We need a sustainable economy in order to push forward so that there will be less looting. In fact, to curb this menace of looting in our society. Thank you so much, Comrade Sahaluddin A. Lukman. Of course, he is the spokesman, Nigerian Citizen Action Group, NCAG. Thank you so much for being a part of the program. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Happy with you.
Thank you. All right, and that's a wrap on the program Insight today. And of course, we're looking at economic hardship and how hunger fuels foodstuff loot. Hope you've been well informed that we do not need a palliative economy because it is not sustainable. We need a working economy. Thank you all so much for being a part of Insight today on Global Television. I am Jumai Manson. Have a good day. Bye-bye.